Welcome to the Good Enough Homestead. Join us today as we lime wash our brick ranch home. As you might have expected, there was some prep work to be done before we could start lime washing. First, we had to take off these shutters. Behind the shutters, you're going to notice some really disgusting buildup and I don't even know, some types of bugs and stuff that have nested there. So before we could even think about the process of lime washing, we had to do a really thorough power wash to the entire house. While Brad began getting the power washer out and started on that side that you saw, I started getting the porch cleared off so that he could also power wash this front part. Our laundry actually vents out, and you'll see me cleaning that up later, so you can kind of see the gray over there in the corner where Brad is right now. So first he removed all the shutters, then he kind of went with his crowbar and got off the most crusty bits, and then he'll go back and he'll do the power washing. While we are getting this area cleared and ready, let me just tell you why we decided to lime wash. Our house is beautiful brick. I really do love brick houses, but unfortunately with this house, because it was a very small ranch and it is literally a rectangle, there was zero interest to it, and the brick was all one color. It wasn't multi-hued or anything like that. So there was kind of nothing to speak to the viewer. And what we wanted was just something that felt a little bit more inviting, a little bit warmer, something that we would enjoy coming home to. So we went ahead and made the decision to lime wash instead of paint, because paint, as you probably know, is not good for brick houses. It doesn't allow them to breathe, whereas lime wash does. So we went ahead and decided, okay, we will do the lime wash, and worst comes to worst, lime wash fades away over time anyway. So we went for it, and we are so very glad that we did. Okay, so here Brad is just doing the very last part of the house that he needed to do, and then he's going to go ahead and start getting the mixture ready. So let's go see what he has to say. Okay, so right now Brad is measuring the lime wash, and for this specific brand, I don't know how all the other lime washes work, but it is either 50 to 70% for the ratio. So you either want to do like a 1-to-1 water and lime wash mix, whatever you call that, or ratio, yeah. Or you can do 1 bucket of lime wash to up to 70% on the water, so a bucket and more. So we just we want to kind of go pretty opaque, so we're doing 1-to-1.
It's like plaster.
It is like plaster. Now it's really thick.
We're gonna spray it, so we want it to be super thin.
Yes.
As thin as we can with it.
Oh!
It's pretty
Dang
thick.
it, that's my stainless steel spoon.
Good as new.
Good as new. So we had watched a couple of videos of other people doing it, and they recommend you definitely use a drill paint stirrer thing, and now we can see why.
I feel like a lunch lady.
There's your
Prison.
sloppy joes.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Have some more sloppy joe.
You can see how thick that is. Oh, gross.
That's thin enough to spray. So we're gonna need to whitewash something else probably after we're done. We bought so much of this stuff.
Okay, you're probably thinking, didn't you just do this? And the answer is yes, kind of. So we had power washed the exterior, but that was really just to get off all of the dirt and nastiness. This is actually the first step of whitewashing. So you have to wet the area that you're about to lime wash, and I guess that allows it to absorb more into the brick. Once you've wetted down the area, then you can begin the actual lime wash application. So in our case, we had a paint sprayer that we used to paint our last house, and so we are spraying the lime wash on, and they recommend either spraying or painting, not rolling. So you can use a paintbrush, but not a roller. So we did a combination. We sprayed the big parts, and then you see me in here, and I am going to be painting on these parts around the window so that we didn't get lime wash all over the window. Now, we were pretty lucky in that ours is very close to the color of our trim work and gutters and all of that, so we did not have to be careful at all around the gutters and the trim work, but we didn't want to get it all over the windows, so we went ahead and used the paintbrush on those areas. That's really it. There's just two steps. Wet down your brick and then spray or paint it on. It was a very easy process. Once we got going, we just kind of had to figure out what thickness we wanted and then start. So it just took us basically the better part of an afternoon, evening, and then another morning, afternoon. So maybe a little over a day to do almost our entire house. So that was the funny part of Brad's famous last words earlier. We felt like we had so much when we started out. And we thought we were going to have a ton of leftover. And by the end, we kept saying, we can make it. And then the other person would say, no, we're not going to make it. And then the next person would say, we'll make it. And then, anyway, you get the point. We did not make it. We ended up with a very small rectangle of unlime washed brick and had to buy just a little bit more. So we waited an entire week for that to come in. Actually, they got it out pretty quickly. I thought it was going to take a lot longer than it did. And once it got there, we had already finished this video, so you don't see us paint that very last bit. But at some video down the road, we will go ahead and put that in there so that you can see the entire house. I guess here is one thing I did forget to mention. You see me coming in and out several times right here, and that's because I got some lime wash on the deck. We have kind of a deck porch. Whatever you would call that, and I got splatters on the wood, so I ran in and got a cup of water, and it actually cleaned off really nicely. So we actually had a rug that Maid Marian, our bottle baby goat, if you remember her, had urinated on multiple times when she was a baby in the house, and so we knew we were going to throw that out. It was a hand-me-down rug, and I went ahead and grabbed that. It had been sitting outside, so I grabbed that, and you can see us actually dragging it there. We're using it to catch all the splatters, and that worked really nicely, and we didn't have to tape anything off, so I enjoyed that. So here we are starting day 2, and the interesting thing about day 2 is you are starting, well, for us, with a new batch, and also you end up kind of doing these just a little bit differently than the day before. So you can see me going over there and blending day 1 and day two's work, and then finally I looked over to Brad and said, I think we must have a thinner solution. Can you go over this again? And he did, and once he did that, it looked fine. And then also the wet and dry looks just a little bit different. It looks thinner when it's wet, so you have to take that into account. So on day 2, if you end up doing it over 2 days, just remember to try to imitate that first day, how the solution thickness, and then also how you did it. So it was pretty easy to blend and fix, so it wasn't a big deal, but just something to keep in mind. So right here, 2 things started happening. Our power washers started kind of working sporadically, and then you can actually see that my paint sprayer is not working very well. And I think what's happening was just over the 2 days, because this was day 2, it had got a little buildup of lime wash in there. So we had tried to clean it out a couple of times, and finally Brad was able to really do a good job getting that cleaned up, and it did fine. But now we're getting to that part that I told you we ran out of lime wash at the very, very end. So you'll see me kind of switch when I'm taking paint out of it. And that's because I was just desperately trying to get the last dregs of it. I was really hoping that we would get that last rectangle painted. So there I had the bucket that we had been mixing in and everything else, and it didn't work. We did end up having to buy the extra lime wash. So we didn't have that triangle finished. But here is the unfinished house and the finished house, and I love it. And in another video I will show you the painted front door and the shutters that we're going to add, and you can see the final product. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the lime wash, and we will see you again soon.